Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking through some of the books that I have picked up in the months of March and April. So there's not too many. Again, I've been trying to avoid buying so many books this year and trying to read what I physically own. Sort of working, sort of not working, because I still feel as though I have 3 TBR shelves and I started off with 3 and I'm still at 3, and I feel as though I'm reading my physical TBR, but it's not really going anywhere. And I don't quite know how that has worked out like that. But anyway, I've picked up a few. I have 7 books here that I'm going to haul, so not too big, a few. The first one is Arcanium Unbounded by Brandon Sanderson. This is a collection of short stories in the Cosmere. So I've read some of this, parts of this. I bought this because I was reading Edge Dancer in March, which is the novella that goes between Words of Radiance and Oathbringer in the Stormlight Archive. So I have since read that. I've also read The Emperor's Soul, which I read last year. But I think that's it. I think everything else in here I haven't read. And so I think that's like 2 of the bigger stories in here that I've read. And then there's like lots and lots of small ones. There's lots and lots of small ones that I've not read. And I guess the other big one would be Mistborn Secret History. So I guess when I do get to Mistborn Secret History, I already have it, but there we go. I also picked up for my March TBR, and I haven't finished this one yet. I'm in the process of, still quite at the beginning of it, The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams. This is an epic fantasy, older, so it's written in the 80s, an epic fantasy saga of magic, empire and adventure. Kitchen boy and sorcerer's apprentice Simon dreams of great deeds and heroic wars. He doesn't know that his dreams are about to become horrifyingly real. I believe it's epic. I believe there's a quest. I believe there's now a dead king. A long dormant evil is poisoning the land. So there we go. I will find out about this. I have to read this month. I have to. I wanted to read this in February. I wanted to read this in March. And so far I read chapter 1, so I will get to this. I will. It's definitely going to happen in April. It has to. In the month of March, I read Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier. So that which I adored, absolutely adored it. So I then went up and picked up books 2 and 3. I have an issue with trying to find a matching edition of the second book. I am still on the hunt. It's still happening, but because I'm going to be starting to read this, I bought myself this cheap used copy that I found. I'm very sad about this. I really am. I'm so sad because I want the nice matching edition so everything can look beautiful. Because this is no, this is not what I want. Not what I want. So I will find it. I will keep persevering to find the second book in the matching edition. And I don't know why it's just not available here, because it's obviously still in print because it's available in the US. But where is it in the UK, and why is there only books 1 and 3 here? But anyway, yeah, I picked up book 2 and 3. Book 2 I'm going to be starting like straight away now, and book 3 will be in May, so I'm all set for that. And I also think there's not matching editions of the continuation. So I believe this was originally a trilogy and then she extended it to 6 books, and I don't think there's matching editions of those ones. Like, what is going on with these publishers? Like, why can't they just print everything and give me a matching edition of a 6-book series? Like, why have they only printed new editions of the first 3? I don't understand. It's just not fair. It's just not fair. So anyway, I'm really excited to get into this. Daughter of the Forest, the first book, is a fairy tale retelling of the 6 Swans, I think it's called. And you're following a main character, Sorsha, and she and her family and her brothers in historical Ireland. And it's just very fairy tale-esque. It's beautifully written, and I was just so invested in it. It's slow, but I was so invested that I just had to keep reading it because I had to know what was going to happen. And I was just so wrapped up. And I believe this is like a multi-generational series, so might get some different characters in here. This does pretty much wrap up, so it does stand alone, but I am intrigued to see where the rest of the series goes, and so excited to continue. Another series that I'm really excited to continue is The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. Orbit were very kind enough to send me an early copy of this. It's finished, and I'm really excited to get into this. I've been in a little bit of a fantasy slump after reading a lot of fantasy in March, so I'm wanting to make sure I read this when I'm in the right mindset for it, and I've not been in the right mindset for it so far in April, but it's going to happen this month. It's just when. John Gwynne is one of my all-time favourite authors, so I'm very excited to dive into this, and thank you so much, Orbit, for this. Thank you so much, because I love John Gwynne's books. So this is the second book in the Bloodsworn saga, the first book being The Shadow of the Gods, which came out last year. This is a multi-perspective story, and our main three characters are Elva, who is part of this warband, and she's trying to find her place in that. There is Varg, who is a former slave, and there is Orca, who is a mother, and she gets sort of thrust onto a path following circumstances at the beginning of the book. And this world is very Norse inspired, the old gods are rising, and there was quite an explosive ending to the first book, so I'm very intrigued to see where this goes and what happens in this one, and I'm scared for all of our characters because this is a dark world, so really excited to get into this. And then I have a couple of special editions which I picked up. One that I'm hoping to read later on this week is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. This is the Waterstones edition, which I think is very pretty. So it's got these stenciled edges on the top as well, and then it has these beautiful end pages and the hardback. So really very pretty edition, which I'm very excited to read. This is V. Schwab's newest release. It's YA fantasy with a haunted house. This girl, yeah, she receives this letter to go to her uncle's house, but supposedly this letter is many years late, and her uncle is now dead. And she's permitted to stay in this house, but she has to follow some certain rules, and things are a bit creepy, and she is trying to unearth some family secrets and what's going on in this haunted house. So really excited to get into this. I have generally really enjoyed V. Schwab's previous books, so very excited to see what this one is like. And then the other special edition I have is the new Fairyloot adult book. So if you haven't received your box yet, then maybe click away if you don't want to get spoiled, because I'll just show it. There's your warning, and I'll now show the book. So the book is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, and it's a white edition. So I believe this is like similar to the normal edition, except the normal edition is black, and this is a sort of creamy colour, which I quite like. I quite like it. These are the edges, and then it has this on the actual hardback, and then it does have some pretty end pages. So we have this, and then there's another one on this side. Cool, there we go. So very pretty. I have already read this. I read the self-published version which came out, and I read that last year. So I did enjoy this book. I think I gave it like 4 stars, and I was flipping through this, and it's really interesting to see, like, with my self-published edition and seeing the differences. And it all seemed to be like stylistic phrasings of some sentences, but it seemed to be quite regular throughout. Like, it wasn't just like a sentence here, a sentence there. It seemed to be pretty regular sentences being rephrased. So I think it would be really interesting to like read this and sort of see how I feel about it, and see how those sentence phrasings would adjust my feelings on the book. Whether I'd like it more, seeing it's probably just been edited a bit more. It probably just had the editors at all go through it and do their normal job with a book, with a manuscript. So I just think when I do reread this, and I probably will, like closer to the second book coming out, or maybe I'll wait until the third book of the trilogy is out, and I'll reread it maybe and see how it all compares. But yeah, just very pretty book. And yeah, I'm pretty happy so far with the box. I mean, it's only the first book that's come in the adult Fairyloot, so I can't really review. I can review this one box, but we'll have to see how it keeps going and see what the product is like as it goes on. As for if you've not read or heard of the Atlas 6, this is following 6 people who are enrolled into the Alexandrian Society, where they are learning to use their magic a bit more. They will have different magical powers, and this society is for the elite in the magical world. 6 get enrolled, but only 5 can continue to the next year. So you are following them in their sort of competition. It's dark academia vibes. You don't really like anyone, I'd say. Like, I didn't really like any of the characters. They're all very complex, and and they all have very distinct personalities, but you don't really like any of them. You're like, I don't trust any of you. So those would be my thoughts on it, but this is the final book that I've picked up recently. So there we go. There are all the books that I have picked up in the past couple of months, so not too many of them, just a handful really. I do need to read some of these because only the Atlas 6 and some of Arcanium Unbounded have been read currently as of filming this, but I mean I do have a lot of plans to get through the majority of these in the next couple of months, so it won't take me long, I don't think, to read this stack. That's the hope anyway. I really hope I don't look back on this in like a year's time and I haven't read them, but there we go. So that's what I've picked up. If you have read and enjoyed any of these books, then please let me know if any of these are your favourites, or if you're looking forward to hearing any of my thoughts on any of these. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!